Well, oops. This keeps happening. Stuff just keeps showing up from eBay. Let's see what we got here. Uh-oh. Deja vu. But what do we have here? Well, the box is very worse for wear. But I'm not going to let that faze me. Let's dive deeper. Well, my helper's here to help me investigate. I did go ahead and hook it up. I checked the fuse first to make sure it was a small fuse. Sometimes you can see a 20 amp fuse in one of these and you know somebody's been jingle-jangling around. She's got some age wear, but not any big nicks. Looks like maybe that's some tobacco juice. What do you think? Maybe. Overall, the knobs are in good shape. No big dents or dangs on the case. I'm sure these controls are going to be scratchy. You don't have to have a mic hooked up on these old 2-button 858 ones to get sound. Let's see. Oh. I got a hum. Ooh, these controls are real scratchy and tight. Oh. Definitely going to need some cleaning.
You can hear him. You can hear the configure. He's so loud.
Definitely going to need some cleaning. Let's investigate this microphone, honey. What do you think? Gonna help me there? That should be upside down. Yeah, upside down on these older 4 pins. Oh, she's trying to grab that right out of my hand. Let's see. Oh, she keys up.
I gotta go to work. I can't do like you rich boys. Take care, PMC. Take care, for the time.
All right, we are on the 20-watt scale. Audio, 1, 2, 3. Hello, audio. Does this thing work out of the box? What do you say about that? Oh, nope, put your mouth on it, boy. Wait till I clean it, honey. Wait till I clean it. Meter light works. Make sure there's no channel mods on these. Nope. Can you test that for me? Okay, push it here. Button works, don't it? Let's see. This thing works. You gonna test that channel knob for me? Look. Channel 19. This thing works out of the box. But see these controls? Definitely gonna need to be cleaned. Okay, all I've done so far is take the bottom cover off so I can clean these pots and controls. But like I said, if you ever buy these kind of vintage equipment or even your own equipment that's been sitting forever, double check. Make sure the fuse is okay before you plug it in. Make sure you got a very small, these usually take a 1 or 2 amp fuse. If you buy something like this has a 20 amp fuse in it, stop right there. Put the original fuse in. And if it pops when you plug it in, on one of these old relay radios, you probably got a bad 10 ohm cap or a bad power supply. As for cleaning these out, I've got this here, which is good for cleaning contacts and relays and stuff like that. But what you need to try to find is some of this deoxit with the lubricant in there for these type of knobs. And the main thing you want to get, let's see, put a light in there. It might see that little hole right there. If you can get a drop in there, or if you can turn this over and get it up into these contacts here, spray it down in there. I'm going to flip the radio because they're all facing this way. But spray the contact cleaner in there and work the knobs back and forth until all the scratchiness is gone. So let me flip this the other way so gravity will help me. Okay, got it flipped the proper way. I'm going to work on the power switch here last. Well, I'll do the volume part of it, but I don't know how well you can see, but you see these 3 little contacts here? You want to get a couple drops in each of these knobs. You can use the regular old, this disc here, you can soak that one down. And I'll do the buttons later on, but you can use this one here, but you got to be careful working your knobs back and forth because it can dissolve the original lubricant in there and make the knobs super loose. But now that I've sprayed that,
N4EWW repeater Friday 7 p.m.
just work it back and forth. See, this one's real tight. Work it back and forth. Mic gain. That one's looser. See, it's getting a little bit too loose, so don't work it too fast. RF gain. This was the one that was kind of nasty, just totally on or off. Now this switch isn't sealed like the newer one, so I sprayed it right into the disc here. Regular old contact cleaner works better on that one probably. Now we work the clarifier one. See, that one's already kind of loose, and this knob is a little bit crooked. But that's the main thing you got to do to clean these contacts. Channel knob's a little harder, but we'll address that if that's needed. I'm going to try to get into this switch, but it's kind of hard to do single-handedly because I want to clean this power switch inside where this actually clicks on and off, because that seems to be a issue. But with age, oxidation is what's going to be your enemy on all these knobs. Crackliness, no contact. Sometimes you have no signal. You might have receive, but your RF gain is so oxidized, there's no signal or no output audio. Might be your mic gain so oxidized. I know this is basic stuff, but this is a perfect opportunity to kind of go over some of that with you. And let me work on some of these other switches off camera, and we'll see if it made any progress. Now, we got some tips and tricks here, too. Let's see. One piece of advice. Make sure when you're using this contact cleaner, never get it in your meter or in between these panels. Do not spray any plastic surface. They say they're plastic safe, but on these vintage radios, I've seen them turn white. Just like this, with one little drop. And plastic polish and everything else in the world won't take it off. So don't get contact cleaner in your meter. And don't get it in between your panels or on any of your shiny plastic. But now I've cleaned these switches. I got the bottom off. Now watch how fast it comes on. Squelch works. RF gain works better now. Baby, don't let me in PA mode. AM. Let's try the mic. Hold on, baby, hold on. She's really trying to help me. You got that for me, Katie? I can hear a little crunchiness in here still. So now what I'm going to do, shut this back down. I'm going to take this mic apart, go ahead and clean it up. And I'm going to contact cleaner on this switch, and we'll see if we can get rid of some of that scratchiness. You can use some on here too. And what I recommend, like I said, to not get it on your plastic or get any drops behind, anything that has glue, spray a little contact cleaner right into your mic socket, let it sit for a second, and then just push it in and out over and over, and it'll clean this up. So I'm going to go ahead and clean on this and clean the contacts, and we'll be back to it in a minute. And I might get some of this tobacco grime or whatever that is off of here before I get too far. But this is pretty good shape. I think that's going to come off too. I think that's just dirt. I don't think it's wear. So, are you ready to clean her up, baby? Hey, Katie, you gonna help me? She's in her own little world. Let me get this cleaned up here. And this clarifier is a little bit bent. If I can't bend it back straight, I'll go ahead and change this pot, because I'm probably going to take all the knobs off and get this faceplate good and clean later on. But I might save that for when I do the recap and full alignment. But so far, let's see. I'm still going to have to clean this switch a little more. You see, these work good now. Let's see if I can see anything on that. RF gain. Let's check that clarifier while I've got it here.
Yeah, I started visiting the store on Facebook, and I can't remember where now.
Yep. Turn it back off for a minute. Just checking it out here and there. If you get things like a delay when you first turn something on like this, it's either the power or it's not switching into the mode right away like this just did. So I'm going to give that a little more attention, but I'm going to work on this mic first. We'll be right back. Now, of course, if you've never done this before, it's not that daunting. This is old hat for anybody who's worked on a lot of radios, but here's your transmit switch. It's all right to get a little bit of the contact cleaner on this, but I want to use the one with the lube in it since this slides back and forth. The main thing is kind of set it this way. If your mic will stand that way. If not, you can, I'm just doing it on camera this way, but I'm going to go ahead and just soak this down with this lubricating contact cleaner here. Like I said, I'm one-hand band here, so once it kind of soaks, kind of work it, flatten it out. That plastic sounds rough right there. I might put a little that silicone or lithium grease in here when I'm done. Something that's safe for plastics. But that's the gist of that. Now as for cleaning this, of course the back part off, that's self-explanatory. But most of these old mics, the switch will pop off of a peg. Like I said, if you already know how to do all this, just go ahead and skip a minute or two. But you know, some of my audience there, they're new to this and they want to work on some old stuff, and more power to them. All of this just comes right out of there. And try not to get this felt wet. Sometimes you can pop this felt out. I'm going to try to get all this out. I'm going to take a toothbrush and some Windex. Don't use alcohol on this kind of plastic. It'll turn white usually, but I'm going to try to clean this up. A little contact cleaner residue there, and I'll be back to it here when I get this cleaned up. I'm not going to go too in-depth, but I did kind of soak this down. I got the felt out of there for now, and just get all that dirt and grime and tobacco tar out of here. And that's all you got to do. Just one of the old baby's toothbrushes here. I use this very, very gentle Meguiar's car glass cleaner, because sometimes Windex can also make this kind of plastic white. So use something gentle. If you have to, just use soap and water. If you get that felt out, take it to your sink upstairs. Same with these knobs. Pop them all off. Take a toothbrush and some dish soap and have at it. You can even do it with the mic cords, but make sure you don't get this part wet. This part here, tape this off in a bag. Tape, this off once it's back in the mic. Tape it off in a bag and soak this cord if it's all dusty and grimy. Just a quick little note. Like I said, don't use the contact cleaner on plastic. Well, remember when I sprayed that switch in here, some got through here and this had turned white a little bit. But I got it off of there. So try to take that out first. If you do get a white spot on black plastic, try a little bit of this plastic scratch remover. Do not use it on here. It'll take the paint right off. But stuff like this, there was so much tar and stuff. This is the rag after I cleaned that. But since I already made a white spot, I went ahead and took alcohol to get the tar off of it. Put the felt back in. She's dry and she's shiny now. So, yeah. If you do happen to get something on black plastic, the scratch remover does work on this. But if you get it on this paint, so try not to get any contact cleaner near your meter or in here. Here, it's not a big deal. Problem solved already. All right, that was a pretty successful clean of that. You saw the state. Even the dirt still wants to stick to it. But now, I do have the radio on when I key it. Audio. No more of a fading in kind of a sound. And that was not the relay. That was the mic contact fading before. I'll give you one little tip. I might come back to it later. When you're cleaning a case like this, when the paints they use kind of like a plastic surrounding, but you can treat it just like paint. When it gets like an oxidized look, starts turning like white or gray, the thing that usually shines that up, I know some people use Armor All and stuff. That doesn't last long. Use just a little bit of tire shine on a nice clean rag and just very slowly take it over till this looks good and dark black. stays that way for a year or more. I've restored a couple of these and it just looks great. So just a side note, that fade in, when I first turned this on and having to move this, it is not this switch. So there's probably a bad capacitor somewhere when this turns on, to where if I switch modes and it's switching, it's re-energizing. So I'll get to that later. But as I'm going to start to clean this, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. This is definitely a tobacco tar. This is sticky and it stinks every time you get it wet. So I'm going to take my time with this, and it's going to be a little bit before I get back. Now that I got the knobs off, just a little quick look. We're going to see how much of that is wear and how much of that is tobacco itch. Be careful when you pull these off. These shafts will break easy. I just kind of very gently, I pushed the switch out and very gently took it off. If you break one of these, you can probably find them on eBay, but try not to break it. But this is where I'm at so far, and there is like a film. It's really hard to show. Yeah, you can kind of see it there. There's like a whole film of tobacco on this. This is just too bad to clean with window cleaner and Goo Gone. Look at the film. I've already dirtied several rags, so I'm going to just take this off, take the felt out, and probably put me a little bit of tape around here, a little masking tape, but I'm going to soak this in some warm dishwater and take a toothbrush to it, because this is, because the meter is still good and clear. A little bit of scum on it, but not too bad. Well, I got this open. The nice thing about these old 858 chassis, look at this board in here. It actually fills up the radio. If you're familiar with the 5-button or the 3-button 5-pin mic Washingtons, you'll notice there's a little tiny board here, and the power supply, and all this is empty. So this is back when they had the 3-button Grant, and this is why the Grant was so big. But see, these caps in here, they're definitely going to have to be changed. These relays are a contentious point, and I think I've got more of them if they're bad. I bought a bunch of these up years ago. I'll look for them in a minute. But there's also a 10-ohm cap. I think it's C. I'll have to look up on the schematic. One of these 10 ohms somewhere in this area is known for going bad and not having transmit, going up in smoke. And it's a very simple fix. But this is a pretty good virgin radio. No stupid mods, no PLL mods. Bottom of the PLL, everything looks great. This thing is exactly the kind of radio you want to get. But if you want to work on something like this yourself, try to find one where somebody's taking pictures of the insides. Sorry for the crappy camera work. I'm a one-hand show here. This was the age before they started covering everything with corrosive glue. So really all you got to do is change the electrolytic capacitors, watch your polarity, negative and positive. Sometimes they're not marked right on the board, so watch them when you take them out. Put the exact same cap back in it. Of course, you can upgrade some things like the power supply, but I'm going to go clean up that faceplate, and then I'm going to take a good look at this again here in a short while. Well, it's bath time up here for old Mr. 2-button President Washington. I don't think this is going to come off. I think that's wear into the paint, which I might try to polish and try to blend the paint, but that's a very tricky territory. Using an old toothbrush here, soaking it in warm water. And this water was like a blue a minute ago. And just soaking here, it's already turning brown. Got the knobs up here for later, but got all the tar off of this stuff, off of here. Be gentle on the soft plastic here. You know, doesn't take that much, just a good warm soak. You don't want to be aggressive. I mean, if you're going to be aggressive, you might as well use hard chemicals and just tear it up. But I just want to get all the tobacco tar and dirt out of the cracks and crevices. And this here, we might just have to live with that, but so far that's not too hard of a pill to swallow for what we got. I did forget to mention the best way, because you're going to get water in here, you're going to have to get this off. There's a little hole right here. You can pop it with a pen or something and have to glue that back. You don't really want to mess with this one if you don't have to. Just get it good and dry. And I did pop it out and dry behind there, but I'm going to glue these back. That's the only thing I couldn't get off. That is deep down in the paint, here and here. All of this cleaned up well. All the lettering's good and white now. Everything's good and clean, so... Oh, and... I don't want to set this down and get dust on the other side, but I didn't tape this off. You should, if you don't have spares. I'm going to actually put a drop of WD-40 in there to expel any moisture. And then I'm going to put a little contact cleaner in there to let it dry out. But you might want to tape that off with something if you don't want to get water down in the leads of your LED. But it came out better than I thought. I just wish I could fix that. And the knobs, ooh, well, got a little moisture in this package, but these knobs came out excellent. Well, I wasn't able to get every single little bit of tobacco tar off because it's left some stains. But it's not yellow anymore. That's a plus, other than right there. I'm getting ready to tape it up so when I can do my recap, I don't beat up what's there. But see, stuff like this, it's already stained into the plastic pretty good like that, but it no longer smells like cigarette smoke. Look how clear all of that stuff looks. I cleaned the meter very, very gently with water. You don't want to rub it dry, it'll scratch, but also your needle might come up and stick, so you got to be careful of static when you clean that. Well, I've done nothing to this but turn the modulation up a little. Nothing's clipped. So you say the audio is just pretty good though, right? It's not, well, I guess you said it was booming loud a minute ago after I turned the modulation up, but like I said, it's only swinging 9 or 10, from like a 2 or 3 watt dead key. Sideband's right on though, so receive is right on. I ain't touched nothing yet.
Roger. Yeah. Well, pretty good shape for the age.
That's what I'm at so far. Got to recap it, but it's doing fine without being recapped thus far. Just a quick little update, partway through recapping. You can see I got this section here and over here, PLL section. There is a little bit of corrosive glue under some of the bigger caps, but it's nowhere near like the mid to late 80s, early 90s stuff. So let me get this all scraped off and I'll finish up with my recapping here. But so far, everything's cleaned up pretty well. There's a little bit of corrosive glue on this coil here too. I've started to peel it a little bit, but luckily I've caught this where it's still kind of peely and not a tarry mess. Well, here we are back again. A little bit of extended delay. I've worked on 2 other radios in between, but she is all recapped. All that bad glue is gone. I've replaced with hot glue on these toroids so I can remove it if I have to. I repasted the finals with some higher temperature grease. Went ahead and put a different relay in there, but the other one was good. It just needs to be cleaned, but I have a couple spares. But all the original crystals were right on frequency. Just got done with the alignment. Let's see here. Yeah, nobody's talking now on sideband, of course. Let's see. The noise blanker on this is excellent. That sounds a little off frequency. I just done my frequency alignment twice and listened to it on a spare radio here. Watch this noise level here. Excellent receive. So this one's come out pretty nice. Let's run some tests through and show what it's doing. Alrighty, we're on the dummy load now. Now this thing has an automatic adjusting mic circuit, so it's a little difficult to set the modulation. The procedure in the book, you have to use some different equipment, not just your meter. it's even hard to kind of use your scope, but I think I've got it right on. Audio 1, 2. Audio 1, 2, 3. You can tell that limiter's still intact because it's not swinging and acting crazy. Let's look at sideband. Audio 1, 2, 3. Audio. Hello. Set to 11.8 as the book suggests. Let's do a receive test here. Before I do the receive test, let's look at the power balance. Channel 1. Channel 40. Very good power balance across the band. Almost exactly 4 watts across the band. Even with the mic gain all the way down, it can still hear me. Hello. Kind of crazy. All right, let's do the receive test now. All right, back to channel 19 on AM, 30% modulation. And I've got this barely putting anything into here. Barely. See on here, that thing is like all the way down. A lot of radios, they tell you, depending on the manual, either 50 or 100 microvolts, which 100 is right here. That's all the way up now. Over an S9. But the procedure on how to do it on this radio is actually set to 24 microvolts, upper sideband, to an S9 per the service manual. And you can go buy a TRC 449 manual or a Washington manual, same procedure. But that's where you get your S9. And look, I mean, usually that's 25 microvolts approximately. It's pretty good receive on this thing. The noise to the signal to noise ratio is excellent also. I'm going to turn the noise blanker off. Doesn't make a difference on sideband, but yeah. Now I'm going to try to go back to some sideband here, and we'll see how it receives if the 111 guy's out there or not. Let's take a look. Never disappoints. I don't want to listen to that very long. Let's listen to something else. I got a lot of LEDs down here. This thing picks them all up. It's got an excellent receive.
Where in Arizona?
There we go. Heard a bad word in there for a second. Scrub that.
I'm in a very small town called Morristown. We don't even have a stoplight.
Let's go see what kind of power level we're putting out here. Let's see here. MFJ is going to read a lot different than the Radio Shack. Let's see here. Audio 1, 2. Audio 1, 2, 3. Hello, audio. I'm gonna have to get me a camera set up here though, but anyway, channel 1, nobody's talking. Audio 1, 2, 3. Audio 1, 2, 3. Hello. Channel 40. Audio 1, 2, 3. Audio 1, 2, 3. Now you can see a little bit of a discrepancy because I'm on an outside antenna and there's SWR variables and stuff that'll make that meter read different. It always shows dead key about a lot lower than it should be. But if you see the peak on the Radio Shack meter there, which is pretty dry meter, the peak is about 11.5. Peak up there is about 14, that's a true peak reading meter. See if any of my friends are out here tonight. How about you, wallpaper man? Yeah, I'll come back on here in a little while and see if somebody's talking. Oh, sounds like all Mexicans so far, and Puerto Ricans. Oh, say something funny about these 10,000 microfarad capacitors here. They keep getting smaller and smaller. Here's a Nichicon 10,000 35 volt, which is smaller than the original 4700 in here. And I vary between 25 to 50 volts, depending on what's on sale. You want to go higher than the 16 that's in here, but look at the size difference in these. That is insane. 10,000 microfarad. And the originals, heck, that's a 3300. And it's bigger than the 10,000. Got somebody calling me now. Yeah, go ahead, Cheezo. Yeah. Oh, microphone cord scratching. Yeah, I had him on the phone earlier there, but I haven't heard him on the radio yet. It's because I'm trying to test something for a video, so he ain't going to be on there. What are you into tonight?
Going around with channels off and on.
Roger. I can hear this microphone cord rubbing every time I shake. Does this one sound all right tonight? We're getting hit by some strong background noise, but I finally got this one together. It just took me a while. I'm going to put the covers back on here and finish this video out I'm working on. Yeah, I'm going to finish this, put the covers back on. We'll come back one more time. Well, I guess this concludes my restoration video. She's a good looker now. After she had a bath and a recap and went through the alignment. I actually went on to the Sam's website because I couldn't find my book. And I ain't paying $60 eBay price for a Sam's manual. So for 20 bucks, I printed out the one I needed and put them in these so the pages all still line up. So, good thing to do if you're ever working on an old radio and you need a book. Because I started before I got that book downloaded. I used my old Radio Shack TRC 449 book because it's basically the same chassis, and they actually give you a lot more troubleshooting along with the alignment if you have issues. Lots of stuff. If you have an oscilloscope, turn this noise down. If you have an oscilloscope, you can probe all these different places and look at your scope and make sure all these match. If not, it tells you you know where to check. A little more detailed than the Sam's manual even. So that's what I started with. But the reason I have that manual, that one's free on cbtricks.org. It used to be .com, but they're out of business. The reason I got that manual, I was working on this one. T-Berry Stalker 202. Also the same board as this original President Washington. Also very early. And also a TRC 449 with a handy little mic adapter and a more newer Radio Shack mic on it with a homemade battery. But yeah, I was working on all these at the same time, is why it took me a week and a half to finish this video. But it's helpful when you're working on similar boards to have them all out at the same time. So when you troubleshoot, had to do a little troubleshooting on this one here and there as I was doing the recap. Because when you recap a radio, don't just go in and just put all new caps in and expect it to work. If it had a problem before you started, okay, you can try to troubleshoot that problem. But more than likely, if it's something like the squelch isn't engaging, you're having RF gain issues where it's like coming and going, it's just like these dirty controls. These caps wear out. The best way to do, I think I might have mentioned earlier in the video, just recap a little bit at a time, maybe 4 or 5 caps at a time in a certain area, plug it in and see if it's still doing the same thing. What this was doing when I took it out of the box, AM had no signal until I switched to sideband and back to AM first. And there was actually a problem in the tripler circuit, which I've got squared away now. But I traced that down through schematics and block diagrams to see what was going on, because I recapped that area and the problem got worse. After I recapped that area, I had nothing. I had no transmit, no nothing. And all I did is change 3 caps in that area, and I traced it down to L24, the tripler circuit. I actually had to, it wasn't this itself, but I couldn't get a tune. One of the transistors in this section was bad, and when I couldn't get this can to tune, I thought it was the can at first, so I took the can off and inspected it. There's little capacitors inside of that too. And I took one off a known good board and stuck it in there, same problem. And I found out there's a 2SC 1675L in this circuit. This is as I was checking the stuff off. I think it was TR32. No, that was the out-of-lock detector. That one tested good. One of these here tested bad, and I grabbed one out of a parts radio, an old junk radio, and then I was able to tune this can properly using my scope, or you have to use a vacuum tube meter. You can't use a little DC multimeter like one of these. It just won't work right. But I used my analog scope to peek that can, and sure, lo and behold, everything works now. So I can hear the 111 guy perfectly clear now. That's all you do, just take it low and slow. Just the basic tips, just like I started with. Check your fuse first, work on your power supply first, make sure all that's good, or run it off of DC while you do all these tests. I did the power supply last on this one because I ran it off of external DC the whole time while I was testing to eliminate anything over there. And as I recapped each section, everything was going good. Transmit actually went up, more power, this and that. But as soon as I got to this section, that issue I was having, everything went dead. And I thought at first maybe there was a cap in backwards, but no, it ended up being that transistor there next to the tripler circuit. After that, she works fine, good alignment. She's already had a good bath and clean. We'll put this one back into service, and many more years of service to come out of this one, I'd say. So 73s to everybody, and we'll catch you in the next one. I'll try to make a video on these this T-Berry and TRC 449, because I've already kind of restored them a bit. There was nothing really that wrong with them. The T-Berry is a little weak on the receive, and I'm not sure if it's the detector circuit. I haven't had a chance to get into that. And the funny thing is, I bought the TRC 449 as a parts chassis, just so I could pull parts off of. When I got this one, it had the issue where AM wouldn't work till you switch back and forth. I got that one, almost had no receive. And I was like, well, I'll use this TRC 449 if I need parts for these. And I got it really cheap on eBay. I hooked it up. That one works perfect. I'm not even going to recap it. It looks dirty on the outside, like it's heavy use. On the inside, everything looks perfect. The only thing I did is change the little tantalum cap in front of the finals there, in between, I forget what the C179, I think, because those are known for blowing up and messing up your finals and your relays. That's the only thing I did. Put it back together. I didn't do an alignment, anything. It's bang on frequency, puts out perfect power, perfect receive. So I ended up just using that as an example to trace down some stuff on this that I was having trouble finding on the schematic. So it always helps if you have multiple radios with the same kind of board. If not, just take your time, research online, look at a lot of YouTube videos. And like I said, a lot of people tell you just throw all the caps at it. It's okay. Just do a little bit at a time and then keep checking it. Don't recap an entire radio and hook it up, because if something doesn't work, then you might have put something in backwards, the wrong value, anything, and it'll take you ages to find it. So that's all I got for today. 73s, everybody, and we'll catch you in the next one.